It's no secret that President Trump feels like he's been treated unfairly by House Democrats, and that conservative pundits have been feeding his rage by doing even more outlandish segments about impeachment. One new example is insane Fox News host Mark Levin. When did he decide? When did Fox decide to give him a show? Even apparently he's got a show on Sundays, but before he was just an insane radio host. Anyway, now Levin goes on his radio show and claims that the terrorists in 9/11 have been getting more due process than President Trump on impeachment. Watch.
The House of Representatives conducting an investigation. Mm-hmm. One party controls the House of Representatives. And one party wanted to impeach the President of the United States. Not a single Republican. I don't believe this has ever happened before in American history. The President is denied due process. I'm not talking about the Bill of Rights. I'm talking about the kind of due process past presidents have had, judges have had, who have faced situations like this. Basic Magna Carta type due process that people are supposed to get.
Exactly.
President gets less due process than the terrorists on 9/11 get. They get habeas corpus rights and all these other. President gets no rights.
President gets no rights, especially compared to the terrorists on 9/11, who got more rights. Specifically, habeas corpus rights. Now, wait a minute here. Now, before I address the insanity of comparing Donald Trump to a terrorist, by the way, and that's funny. That's like unintentionally hilarious, right? Let me point out that Levin has said, I don't believe this has ever happened before in American history. Well, you're right about that one. This is wrong about everything else. It's true that we've never seen such a corrupt, morally bankrupt Republican Party at the mercy of a cult leader. Never, not even back in the time of Richard Nixon, was there a Republican Party. And by the way, if the Republican Party of today was back during Richard Nixon, do you think Nixon would have resigned? Oh, hell no. He would not have resigned. He would have continued to do what he was doing before. But the Republican Party, it back then, at least used to have at least some standards. Now, no, they're completely divorced from the Constitution and a rule of law. It has turned into a cult of personality. And by the way, if you speak up against this cult of personality, as some conservatives have, you're basically exiled from the party. Look at Justin Amash. Justin Amash drummed out of the party. Doesn't belong there, right? So as for the other point, now Trump quoted Levin, in a tweet. He said, in the House, the president got less due process than 9/11 terrorists got, quoting Levin. He said, this is a corrupt process, ? And then answered the question, very much so. Okay. Now, Trump and Levin, weirdly enough, just compared themselves, compared Trump to the 9/11 hijackers, which could be in a bit of an ironic point. For one, the 9/11 hijackers, they all died in the attack. It was a literal suicide attack. There was no trial. There was no habeas corpus. There wasn't any of that. There was no due process. They were terrorists. And they died in a suicide attack. What does that have to do at all with due process? Now, how about we have a better comparison, right? The family of Anwar al-Awlaki, right? So al-Awlaki was an American citizen, and he was targeted and killed by the CIA in a drone strike back in 2011. Now, this was during the Obama administration, right? Obama was tough on terrorism, right? So he's launching drone strikes all over Yemen. And he had a kill list. He had signature strikes where all you have to do is just have some sort of signature, like maybe the broomstick that you're holding looks like a gun, so we can go and basically drop a gigantic bomb in your house. Okay, so the Obama administration did this, and guess what this is? Anwar al-Awlaki was an American citizen. Yes, he was alleged to have been working with al-Qaeda, but there was no trial, right? No evidence presented. The CIA just went, yeah, we don't care. We're going to extrajudicially kill this kill this person who's in Yemen, who's an American citizen. Not only that, but I think about 6 months later, you had Alaki's 16-year-old son, who was also targeted and killed by a CIA drone strike as he was eating outdoors. So Obama signed off on both of those, right? Now, 6 years later, al-Awlaki's daughter, not Nawar, right? Now, Nawar, at this point, she's 8 years old, right? During an intelligence operation that Donald Trump had greenlit, she was fatally shot and killed. Is there any due process in any of this? No. All American citizens ostensibly targeted by two different administrations. The first two were on Obama. The 8-year-old, that's on Donald Trump. So it's pretty rich that Trump talks about due process. Again, this is a guy who says when it comes to terrorists, right, we're going to go after their families. And guess what? That's exactly what he did. He went after the terrorists' families without due process. And so it is funny. Now, here's the other thing about due process, right? This is a political trial. Now, when the impeachment was going on in the House, right? Articles of impeachment, Trump could have called witnesses. Instead, what he did is he blocked former or current members of his administration from testifying before Congress. Now, what witnesses did he want? He wanted the whistleblower. And Levin goes on later on, of course, to talk about, the guy that we want to testify is a whistleblower. Why? Why would you want the whistleblower to testify? I mean, he even says, I can't believe we didn't release the name of the whistleblower, even though Donald Trump had tried to do so before. Well, why the focus on the whistleblower when you have all these other administration officials coming out on the record as corroborating and saying, actually, you know what? The whistleblower was secondhand knowledge. I was the first secondhand knowledge, or I was the firsthand knowledge. I was literally in the room when he made that call. I was on the call. I heard exactly what he said. And I was involved in this. So the whistleblower is moot. But they're like, oh, no, we got to hear from the whistleblower. We want to hear from the whistleblower. No, the only reason you wanted to hear from him is so that you could, or her, is that so that you could punish them. That's what the Trump administration wants to do. This person's life is in danger. And the Trump administration said, we don't care. We want to come after them. And Levin is echoing that. All right. Anyway, so now, again, pretty rich, right? Now, impeachment has moved to the Senate, by the way. And so there is still a chance for the Trump administration to go and choose witnesses, right? Also, Trump himself could go and testify in front of this. And again, due process, political trial, not a criminal trial. So whatever Levin was talking about when it comes to due process, the Magna Carta style, no, it doesn't apply here since it's a political trial. This is more of a trial to figure out if Donald Trump had violated his oath of office and therefore should be fired from his position as a result. This is not the same as a criminal trial. So the response is to this, of course, is a lot of mockery. So let me give you some tweets here. Robin says, hey, Einstein, the 9/11 terrorist died. Now it's time for the facts. The House Judiciary invited you twice to come to the hearings, and you declined both times. You have no argument here. All right, more. Jeff Treidrich says, breaking, a man who leads chant of lock her up at every opportunity, suddenly an advocate for due process. Enjoy that. D. Villela says, well, you could have testified, but you refused. You could have allowed your aides to testify, but you blocked them. You chose not to get involved in the process. I look forward to your testimony during your impeachment trial. Can you beat Hillary's 11-hour testimony? Could you imagine Trump being questioned for 11 hours straight? The insanity. You think the news runs fast today when it comes to weird Trump quotes and lies and misstatements. Get Donald Trump on the record for 11 hours just talking straight. How many times do you think he could lie, distort, and spout verbal diarrhea in that amount of time? Oh, it would be amazing. It would be a spectacle. Another tweet here, Brooklyn Dad Defiant says, if you're comparing yourself to the 9/11 terrorists, you're losing bigly. And finally, Nick Jack Pappas says, well, you used question marks and answer his question. No, it's not a corrupt process. No, in fact, the Democrats actually went by the Republicans' rules. If anything, he says, it was too fair. The House should have thrown the witnesses who ignored subpoenas in jail. Yes. And why is this not talked about enough? Look, people in independent media talk about it all the time. They talk about how Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats went way too soft, way too deferential to the Republicans. And look, I don't know. Maybe it was in the hopes of getting Republican support. But what I say to that is it's almost as if the Democrats don't seem to want to pay attention because Republicans have never, ever said, hey, you know what? We might not agree, but it turns out the Democrats really did follow the process to the letter, and so we're going to give them a fair hearing. No. Instead, the Republican response is process. It's terrible. It's also a witch hunt. The Democrats have been planning this for years, so it's invalid. They're only going after Donald Trump because they lost, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All of this, of course, is projection. It is on record that Republicans planned to impeach Hillary Clinton if she had won over her emails and, yes, even over Benghazi. Democrats, for God's sake, quit coddling Republicans. Play some goddamn hardball. I'm tired of this, right? They should be putting out ads, by the way, saying Trump compares himself to 9/11 terrorists. Oh, wouldn't that be amazing? But, of course, Democrats would never have the balls to be able to do that. They never played that game because at the end of the day, even when it comes to impeachment, they're paid to lose. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent, progressive media.